everybody, it's Hunger again, and welcome to the worst things about my experience playing Pokemon Uranium. So, quick disclaimers here. These are my opinion. Of course, they're things that are based on my experience playing the game, nobody else's. So I'm not saying that this is a definitive list, that this was voted on or anything. This is just, in my opinion, how I rank in my opinion, what are the worst things about the game. So with those out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. Number 10. The starters. So I didn't like pretty much everything about the starter Pokemon selection in this game. I didn't like the little quiz at the beginning. If you watch the playthrough, I accidentally got the wrong Pokemon because of the way that the buttons worked and everything. Had to reset it and do it again. And then the starters in this game only have 2 stages. There was a lot of stuff in this game that I felt they were just doing it just to be different, and that's not, different's not always necessarily bad, but it's not always necessarily good either. So, again, it didn't like ruin the game for me or anything like that. That's why it's only number 10. But it was just kind of the starters were kind of a letdown for me. Number 9. No rare candy revives. So, in pretty much every Pokemon game since the dawn of time, except some of the ROM hacks, obviously, if you use a rare candy on a fainted Pokemon, when that Pokemon's HP is increased by leveling up, it is no longer fainted. It gives it a 1 or 2 HP or whatever HP it gained by leveling up, and that Pokemon is not fainted anymore. This doesn't happen in Pokemon Uranium. You can rare candy a fainted Pokemon all you want, it'll still be a fainted Pokemon. That might not seem like a huge deal, but it's something that in the main series Pokemon games really helps with your item and resource management. So for me, that was kind of a bummer. And again, it wasn't a game-breaking thing or anything. That's why it's down here at number 9. Number 8. Theo. Okay, so Theo is the quote-unquote rival character for this game, and he's really annoying. I don't know how else to put it. He is just so irritating. In most of the other games, the rivals are either your friends or there's some sort of competent opponent who's just maybe shows up occasionally, kind of gets on your nerves or something. Theo is none of these things. He's just really, really annoying. And the fact that throughout the first part of the game, they kind of treat him like they're like, oh, he's younger than you, and everybody kind of treats him like a baby, and he kind of acts like a baby. He literally cries a few times. So it's one of those things where oftentimes you feel more like he's just some random kid who's a burden on you rather than a friend or a rival character. His character just really rubs me the wrong way. But again, it didn't ruin the game for me or anything like that, so that's why he's down here at number 8. Number 7. Okay, the number 7 is HM moves and items, okay? I don't mind having one or the other. Like, I like the idea of having special items that let you do the same things that an HM move can do, but if you have those, why then do you need the HM moves to be there? Why do I have to teach my Pokemon the HM moves and then get the item later? If you're using that as a barrier to progress, then why aren't you giving me the item instead of the HM move? If it's one of those things, if you're going to go through the trouble of coding special items to use instead of HMs, why do I still have to give my Pokemon HM moves and then not be able to forget them? Okay, that really irritated me. Because by the time you get to the point where you can kind of replace your HM moves with these items. You either don't really need them anymore, or it's really difficult to go and replace and delete those HM moves for reasons I'll get to later. Number 6, evolutions. Okay. This is gonna sound a little weird, but there's a lot of Pokemon in this game that I really wish just didn't evolve, or that better care had been taken of their evolutions. I'm not talking just about the cringy fan-made evolutions for pre-existing Pokemon like Dunsarif, or some of the other ones that were in there, some of the cringy Mega evolutions, things like that. I'm talking about some of the evolutions for the Mons that were, the core of the game, the fakey Mons, the original, the completely original lines. There were so many Pokemon in this game that I was so excited about when I got them. It was like, oh, that's so cute, it looks so awesome. And then it evolves into something horrendous. And I'm just like, okay. And it just sucks the enthusiasm out of you, because you wait so long for these things to evolve, and then it's such a letdown. So, just evolutions in general for this game, not so great in my opinion. Number 5, the controls. I had to mess with the controls for this game a lot. When I first started playing, I was in the menu constantly trying to figure out how to make the game play the way I wanted it to play. I wanted it to play more like I was used to, the same controls that I was used to playing with on emulator for other Pokemon games that I've been playing. And it was a fight. This game had, even though it says it has customizable controls, you couldn't, like, for example, route the cancel button and the run button to the same button, which is what it's like on every single emulator game that I've been playing. So you had to have a separate button for canceling and running, and what a pain, like it was, like I said, it was a real trial to get things the way I wanted them. And even when I got them, the way I wanted to, even when I got close to what I wanted, it wasn't really what I wanted. And again, some of these things that I'm griping about in here may not necessarily be the fault of the people who made the game. I think a lot of it is the fault of the program that they're creating the game with, because I've played other games that had similar difficulties. But anyway, but again, this is based on my personal experience playing the game. So again, some of these things may not necessarily be the fault of the people who made the game, but I still feel like they're worth mentioning. Number 4, late game fly and the split map. I mentioned a little earlier when I was talking about not being able to easily forget your HM moves after you get the items to replace them with, and not to mention the fact that you have to go to one specific place in the game to get all of the different items, and it's not really clear when you're allowed to get each one. One of the things that makes that really a lot more difficult is that they don't give you fly until you've pretty much beaten the whole game. Like, you've got like all 8 badges and right up the armpit of Victory Road and everything. It's like, oh, now you can have fly. That was irritating. And then once you get fly, you can't access the whole map with it. The map is split into East Tandor and West Tandor, and there is a ferry that goes between the two versions of Tandor, but that's an extra step that you really shouldn't need to take. And particularly when you're doing the ninja side quest, if you're trying to do them in order, you're going all over the map between East and West Tandor. It's really irritating and annoying. So yeah, the split map, not a fan, and getting fly way late in the game when there's so much that you need to backtrack for. Like, I had to wait to do the ninja side quest. Like, I got the ninja side quest and had to wait until after I got fly to complete it, because it would have just been such a pain to do without it. So again, getting fly that late was ridiculous. Professor Bambo forgetting to give you fly until you were about done with the game was kind of ridiculous. Not a fan. Number 3, the lag. This game for me lagged all the way through, and I know that there are plenty of people who have Let's Plays of this game where it's not lagging, where it's going just fine. For me, it was an issue. I don't have a top-of-the-line gaming PC. That's not what I'm playing this on. So, and I don't think that you should have to have a top-of-the-line gaming PC to experience a fan game. So, again, that might be on the programs being used to make the game, but it runs really slow regardless of what you do to your settings. It's not just because I was using a screen recorder. It still runs really slowly without it. You know, but yeah, it makes the game really difficult to play, particularly in combination with some of the game's other problems. And again, I'm not running like a super old PC either. Like it's running Windows 10. It's a relatively new PC. So again, I don't think I should have that much trouble playing a fan game that's you know, not even cutting edge compared to what Nintendo's putting out now. So again, you know, I think that's an issue. Like I said, it might be an issue with the platform that the game's being developed for, but that's something that you need to consider as a developer when you're making a fan game. Number 2, low XP for wild mons. This was an issue the whole game for me. Not necessarily at the beginning, but once I got past like level 20 or so in my levels, it became such a chore to do any sort of grinding or leveling outside of the trainer battles in the story, because the levels for the wild mons really started to drop off, and the experience they were offering for defeating them was laughable. And you know, there were points in the late game where I'm beating level 40 some odd mons, and sometimes those mons were higher level than what I was fighting them with, and I'm getting like 200-300 experience a pop, and the experience the mons needed to level up was substantially higher than that. And with the problem I mentioned earlier with the lag, this made any sort of grinding on wild mons painfully slow. And if not for having certain areas where you could fight certain trainers multiple times, I don't think that would have gone so well. And I'm not talking about the versus. I'm not talking about the phone number function, because that was terrible. Because again, you get the fly HM so late in the game that you're not going to backtrack all the way halfway across Tandor to go fight somebody for just a little bit of XP. It's not worth it. So again, the XP curve for the wild mons in relation to the areas that you're going to and where your levels are expected to be wasn't great. Not a fan. Number 1. And the number 1 worst thing about Pokemon Uranium, in my experience, the nuclear type. I don't know what they were thinking. It's such a bad idea. I like the idea of having a new type, don't get me wrong. The nuclear type was just really unbalanced. It basically made the game all about if there's a nuclear Pokemon involved in a battle, then it's all about who goes first. If that nuclear type is fast and powerful, and you have a dual type Pokemon, and one of those types isn't Steel, it's going to knock your Pokemon out. And that was really frustrating. It forces you to play the game a certain way or suffer the consequences. So unless you want to have like a team full of 6 mono-type Pokemon and one of those being a Steel type, or have a mono Steel type on the team specifically to deal with nuclear types or something like that, you're just going to have a bad time with them. And it's just a really unbalanced way to do things. If you're not familiar, the nuclear type is super effective against pretty much everything but Steel, and everything is super effective against the nuclear type. So if you go and get your own nuclear Pokemon thinking, oh well, this is super effective against everything, I'm just going to be a world beater with this thing, odds are you're going to run up against something faster than you or something with a priority move, and your nuclear Pokemon is going to get KO'd in one shot. And if it doesn't, it might not even listen to you when you go to attack with it. So all in all, it just made the game unnecessarily difficult in places, and I'm not a huge fan of it. So that is my list of the top 10 worst things about my experience playing Pokemon Uranium. And if you think I'm being all negative here, don't worry. I will have a top 10 best things video coming out soon. I just wanted to get this video done while my experience was still fresh in my mind. Thank you all so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed it. Hope we'll see you around for the next video. And as always, I hope everybody has a great day. Bye-bye.